Yo, what's the dealio, man? Listen, you already know I got a straight banger for you today. All right. So in this video, what I want to talk about is leverage ETFs, right? Leverage 2x, 3x ETFs, inverse ETFs and stuff like that, right? This video is to help you be able to navigate around the stock market, right? Because I remember when I first started, I would start hearing about these names and I'd be like, what is that? And I kind of stayed away from it, right? So I just want to help inform you so that you have the knowledge and you know what to go do with it, right? So what is a leverage ETF, right? Let's start there. What's a leverage ETF? Basically, it's not a company, all right? It's not a company. All it is like, think about like a fund manager, right? And they wanted to go track or follow a big company, a big stock, right? A lot of stocks have these leverage ETF or a sector, right? And what they do is it's designed to give amplified returns, right? So instead of having a company that has all the operating and stuff like that, they're gonna follow this sector or whatever the case may be, or this stock, and then they're gonna get their value. Their value comes from like derivatives, right? So like futures, swaps, options and stuff like that. And so that's how the value comes from the company. So it's not necessarily like the best like long-term kind of hold, because they do have things like decay and stuff like that. But at the same time, you could flip your money through these, or if you have a stock that is high, like very expensive, then you might want to trade. Let's say you want to trade a certain stock and it's $250 per share and the options are, let's just say $700 per contract, right? They might have a leverage ETF, and it might be a contract may only be $80, but it has the same movements as the actual stock, right? And so in that case, you could say, okay, I'm gonna trade this leverage ETF rather than trading the actual stock, because I could get the same movement, right? But I'm not gonna have to invest as much, or my account may be smaller, and I think that this stock is going to go this direction, so let me follow that ETF. Or you may say, okay, there's a sector that I know is going to be going crazy. Do they have a leverage ETF? And then let me get into that ETF, right? And then let me get those gains, right? So a couple examples for you guys. You also have inverse leverage ETFs as well. So basically, if the market is going to be going down, then the market will be going up. I mean, this leverage ETF will be going up, right? So you got things like the VIX, and basically that's the inverse thing. You got TQQQ, SQQQ, all of those, right? So what I want to show you guys is two different ETFs, right? I want to give you an example for the sectors, and I want to give you an example for an individual stock, all right? So what we gonna do is, we got Robinhood right here. So first one is going to be SOXL, right? So you see how it says leverage right there? And right now SOXL is at $34. This is a semiconductor ETF, leverage ETF, right? So watch this. If we go back year to date, look where it was at. It was at, in April, it was at $9, right? $8, $9. This is following the semiconductor space. NVIDIA, AMD, MU, right? Taiwan Semiconductors. And look where it's at now, $34, right? Because you may say, hey, I don't want to invest into AMD, NVIDIA, and Taiwan Semiconductors and MU, but I want to benefit from that sector, right? So you could say, okay, let me get into this one right here. I'm gonna get in, hold it for 3 to 6 months, and I'm gonna cash out when I see that the sector has recovered or when it's back to the upside, right? So that is SOXL. So this is a sector, right? Semiconductor sector. The next one you got is, let's go to TSLL, right? Drexion. So you got like Granite shares, Pro shares, Drexion shares. These are all companies that you're gonna see, or names that you're gonna see around these leverage ETFs, right? So when you see these names, it's most likely gonna be a leverage ETF. So we got TSLL, right? So right here, they're at $20, right? TSLL follows Tesla. So it has very similar movements to Tesla, right? So let's look at, let's go to the year to date. So look at this chart right here, right? TSLL, boom. It was at $10, $11 in July. Now it's at $20. Very similar to Tesla, right? If we go to Tesla and we go to the year to date, TSLA, right? Look at the year to date. Pretty similar chart, right? Pretty similar chart. Now look at these options. If you want to trade Tesla, you go here. For the weeklies, we're looking at $1,300, $1,200 per contract, right? That's if you wanted to trade Tesla. Now let's go to TSLL. TSLL. And let's say I wanted to trade them on the weeklies. Look where they at. $100, right? So it's a big difference. So you could get very similar moves, but you won't have to pay the premium that, you know, Tesla would be charging you, and you could get a very similar move, right? So that's TSLL, and that's also SOXL, right? So we got the sector, which is SOXL, which is semiconductors, and then we got TSLL, which is following an individual stock. All right, and if that don't make sense, let me show you the charts real quick. We're gonna look at TSLL and we're gonna look at Tesla, right? So let's look at this real quick. If we pull up the charts right here, right? If we pull up the charts right here, let's do it. We're gonna go to, all right, so here's the charts, right? Let's go to TSLL. Let's look at Tesla first, Tesla. So this is Tesla, right? On the daily time frame, right? So look at that. Boom, 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 blast it off, consolidate it up, right? All right, now let's look at TSLL. You see that? Boom, 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 blast it off, consolidate it up. Basically the same movement, but it's just a lot cheaper, right? So keep those things in mind, y'all. That is TSLL. Very similar charts, movement on the daily time frame and or on the weekly time frame. It really doesn't matter because it's following an individual stock. The movement is going to be very similar. Now, some may say, like, how do these things start, right? Like, does it IPO or whatever? No, it doesn't IPO. All it is somebody who's like the fund manager, they're going to file a document basically to say, hey, we want to start a leverage ETF to follow this company or to follow this sector, right? Because they're not a company looking for investment to grow the company and the business, right? They're just basically like a fund, and they're saying we want to amplify returns by following this sector or by following this stock. All right, so if you want to leverage the ETFs and benefit from them, the way you do it is just basically like understand where things are at, understand where they're going, and you want to understand that, like, okay, where is the value coming from with these assets, right? That's on the stock market. It's over 6,000 stocks on the stock market. And so not everyone is going to be the same. Not everyone going to have the same prices, spreads, and all of that stuff, right? But leverage ETFs, they are a lot higher risk. You could have big gains, but you could also have big losses if you don't know what you're doing, right? But at the end of the day, if you guys understand buy low, sell high, you're going to be good regardless, no matter if you're trading options, no matter if you buying into, if you're trading options, if you're buying into shares, right? Don't matter what the strategy is. Anything is going to be about buying low and selling high, right? That's a foundational understanding that you got to have. So buy low, sell high. That's always what it's going to be, right? So leverage ETFs, right? I hope that made sense, right? If y'all got any questions, man, drop them down below. If you want to come trade with us on October 1st, our prices is going up for the Prosperity Collective. So be sure to join before our prices go up. We're going to have a course up in there, and we also going to have weekly study sessions as well. All right. So I hope that made sense, and I hope that helped you out. All right. Like I always say, make sure you get up out of your head, Go get into this world because your head is a dangerous place to live. All right. And also remember, y'all, the more you study, the less you worry. All right. And y'all stay smooth, man. I'm going to highlight you guys on tomorrow's video. Peace.